Hello everyone, and now welcome to game 1 in a series between Apollo's AK versus YoeIMHui. So, we are going to be seeing another PvZ matchup, game 1 now taking place here on Daybreak. PvZ coming across as we now see Hui spawning as the red Protoss at the 7 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Thermal takes Apollo AK spawning as the blue Zerg. Zerg versus Terran here on Daybreak, one of the largest, or not largest, one of the longest maps in terms of how long it's been on the map pool. I do believe that Daybreak will be rotated out eventually, and when it goes, I will be a sad panda. I really liked Daybreak. I liked when it was introduced, as it generally has a lot of longer games. The positioning on the battles, the map is fairly large at the beginning portion of the game, and then things do kind of settle down once the game gets into that mid phase. And then the late game phase, battles are often much faster because you're able to take down those center destructible rocks, and by taking down those center destructible rocks, you pretty much have easy access to your opponent's side of the base rather quickly. Now, there are a good number of expansions, 6 bases on each side of the map, including your starting location here. Now, we are looking at a Mothership Core expansion coming in from Hui. Meanwhile, we are also seeing a spawning pool coming down relatively early by AK. So AK going for that, I believe it was a 14 pool opening, and will be following this up with a hatchery most likely. Now, with Daybreak, it is not uncommon for Zerg players to get up on 3 bases very quickly. What you will often see is the Zerg player try to go gasless for quite some time, and then just use queens and Zerglings to handle all of their defense. I wouldn't even be surprised if AK went for 6 queens at this time, as actually, no, I think 5 queens. 5 queens at this time, as there is a lot of creep tumors that need to be placed down in order to connect your natural expansion to your third base. Coming across, we do see that there is an Overlord now doing a quick fly and check of what's going on here at the natural expansion. Doesn't see anything as of yet, because it is all, well, I will let you know, it is right here. There he goes. Right here, Cybernetics Core now coming in. We are getting out a Zealot. We should be chrono boosting out that one particular Mothership Core here in just a second. We just need a little bit more resources, and I'm not quite sure what we're waiting on. Anyways, back over here, we can see the Nexus is being placed down. And will we be going into that Mothership Core? Mothership Core, nope, gonna be going ahead and just training up probes first, delaying that Mothership Core for another time. Now, coming back across, we can see that the hatchery of AK is about to be completed, and there's already a queen there ready to tend to it. Now, most of the time, Zerg players do try to establish up this third base sometime around the 4-minute mark. I am surprised to see that AK is not setting up a third base just quite yet, and I am curious as to what his particular strategy will be. Now that Hui sees that there is no third base placed down yet, I believe that Hui is going to be playing a little bit more defensively. He knows that at any moment this base here could be turned into a pure macro hatch, and a lot of units could be trained up and forced out that way. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what's going on. Mothership Core flying in the air, Zealot now on the ground, and Hui could perhaps set up another pylon here, making a rather narrow squeeze for any units that try to come in. That Zealot really should be positioning itself right there. Not quite sure why it's not. Nope. Gonna be making a move out instead with that Mothership Core to try to clean up and pick off some units. Now, AK has not taken that many bases yet, so he doesn't have to defend with, say, 4 to 6 queens. The problem, however, is we are transitioning into a Stargate by Hui, and Hui, with that Oracle harassment, should be able, or will be able, to take down a lot of drones as long as AK doesn't respond too quickly. AK does have pretty good Zergling and Overlord coverage to keep track of what his opponent is doing, as a Zealot now making its rounds. Overlord now flying back over here. You can see that Hui wanted to try and stop this third base, doesn't see a third base, and thinks to himself, okay, let me at least figure out what is going on inside the natural, as the queen is now out. Zealot engaging. The queen is now backing off. Is the mothership core going to be able to get there in time? The queen taking a lot of damage. This is not good. The queen now down to 67 hit points, 60 hit points, as the Zealot now going to get poked apart. And oh, this looks like it will be a very, very solid play by AK, taking down the Zealot, and will be able to recover all those hit points on his queen, while Hui's mothership core taking significant damage, down to 56 hit points, and also losing a Zealot. Zealots still going in a roundabout fashion. And the longer this game goes without AK taking up a third base, the more I believe AK is not setting himself up for victory. You can take a look, 40 probes versus 41 drones. One of the biggest advantages for Zerg is their economy and how quickly they can train up drones. If you do not have a drone advantage over your opponent, then you are not utilizing your advantage, and as soon as Hui starts to utilize his race advantage, he will come out ahead. You can see that the mothership core is just defending here now. Near maximum energy, already at 183, as a hallucinated Phoenix now doing a bit of a flyby. Protoss with 64 supply, Zerg with 58. You never want to be behind in supply against a Zerg, just because Zerg players generally are able to train up units much more quickly. Not sure what exactly is happening on the field, as the Phoenix still doing a bit of a flyby, scouted out his opponent, and now simply retreating and returning back. Zergling's going to try to knock on the front door, but a mothership core and some Zealots make some short work of that, as the Zerglings will be able to head back home with little to no problem. Alright, third base now coming in. In addition, we see a Hydralisk Den being hidden over here. Yes, hiding even from me as it disappears from sight. So, Hydralisk could catch Hui out of position in just a moment, especially with those Groove Spines upgrades. 6 Hydralisks with range of 6 will be able to take down all of these gateways, and perhaps even take down a couple sentries and stalkers if not careful. Let's take a look. Back in the center over here, Zerglings are holding position here. Infestation Pit hiding off on the top left. So this was a lot of hidden tech. But because it was all powered by Overlords in terms of not bleeding, that is going to severely hurt, as we now see a hallucinated Phoenix has spotted this Overlord here. Groove Spines about to be completed. Meanwhile, Infestation Pit already starting to bleed, and AK cannot afford to lose such expensive tech buildings without doing much with them. Alright, there you have it. That Infestation Pit will get taken down. Meanwhile, this Hydralisk Den is also going to start to bleed to death, and this may be the beginning of a loss there, losing over 500 resources pretty needlessly, and not really using any time for all of that hidden tech there. You can take a look. The Hydralisk Den is at 700 some odd hit points. It is dropping rapidly, about 3 hit points a second. Hydralisk now go on and try and do a move here. There are Phoenixes, Sentries, Zealots in this army composition, and the Zerglings will be able to get back just in time. Groove Spines has been completed. I do not believe the muscular augments have been completed. No, we are still at 2.25 movement speed, and we are now running on 3 bases for both AK and Hui. Red Protoss still just macroing up more and more units. You can see Void Rays are in the air as the Phoenixes look to dominate the skies. Coming back around, Zerglings want to take down this expansion. He cannot let this get up, and it looks like he will be able to at least force a cancel as the Zealots now make their way over. Zealots are upgraded 1-0. Zerglings are upgraded 0-1, pretty much negating all of that armor there, as the Hydralisk still trying to engage. Zealots, however, with charge, able to charge their way through after all of those Hydralisks, will be able to clean them up if they stay alive. Another unit getting taken down, but in come the Phoenixes. There you go, picking them up one at a time and serving them up on a graviton platter for the Sentries and the Void Rays and other Phoenixes to finish. AK sitting on 3 bases now. Meanwhile, we can see Hui still sitting on 2. Is he going to be able to get this base and start to defend it? Zealot now trying to make its way down. trying to catch up to a couple of Zerglings as we are looking at the Sentries and the Void Rays. Hui being very aggressive with his composition and now also getting Archons. I love this play. The Archons are perfect against the Zerg, as it does deal bonus damage to biological units. But the one poor thing is that most Zerg units have a high base damage amount, as opposed to, say, Terran, who deals bonus damage to armored or light or anything of that nature. Zerg units are generally one size fits all. I'm just going to do the same amount of damage to everyone on the field, whether they be armored, unarmored, or light. Alright, there goes the hatchery. The Archons and the Void Rays pretty much cleaning that up. And with a 148 to 124 supply advantage, looking to really shut the door here. However, that is a lot of Hydralisks, but it is only upgraded at 0-1 right now, as we are now going into the Protoss ground armor. What is next? The Archons trying to finish off a couple of those Hydralisks. Phoenixes do come over as well. Graviton beams serving up all of those Hydralisks, as the Phoenixes could try and chase once more. Alright, Phoenix is now going to get into a little bit of trouble as the Void Rays are focusing down the Hydralisks. The Void Rays should be focusing down the Spine Crawlers, since they're the ones that take additional bonus damage from the Prismatic Alignment and also the standard damage of those Void Rays. Void Rays now still making their way off to the north. Hydralisks now making their way over. It looks as though the Hydralisks are going to try and run down here, as the Zerglings still engaging against the Zealots. Zealots now looking to back off. 148 versus 108. Hui now with a commanding advantage over 50% or about 50% here, as the Void Rays and the Phoenixes now look to back off and do a little bit of scouting. Alright, there is the Hydralisk den finally taken out. Meanwhile, what are the options for our Zerg player AK? AK, pretty much limited in terms of options, has a smaller bank, does have a bit more gas and also more drones, so he does have the economic advantage, even though he's only up on 2 bases, but I don't believe that's going to be enough to carry him to victory. Hydralisks now trying to make their way over. It looks as though, oh, Banelings coming out of the ground there to finish off a lot of units. The Zealots now taking a lot of damage, and what is happening next as the Hydralisks and the Overlords now making a move forward. Alright, the Void Rays, is it going to get focused down? I do believe so. Yes, last shot there. There goes the Void Ray. And with that change of events, Hui now with barely a 10 supply, or even barely having a 10 supply advantage over his opponent. 156 versus 148. More Zealots coming onto the battlefield. AK catching up relatively quickly. As the Archons and Phoenixes once more will rush up that ramp. Let's take a look. Ramp is sitting right here. It is blocked partially by this debris. Banelings could go in for another burrow, and yes, they do burrow themselves again. AK looking to deal a lot of damage as the Overlords now getting pushed away and off to the side. Is AK going to be able to defend? I don't believe so. One Zealot now being brought over with 1-1 upgrades, going to be very difficult to take down, as the Phoenixes are now still flying around over here and will be heading back home. Meanwhile, Zerglings trying to attack the front door, not going to really do much of anything. Zealot now with charge coming over, and really, what is this Void Ray looking to do? The Void Ray is currently with no kills, but that can change all in a matter of seconds, as we do see Phoenixes in abundance here. All right, are we going to see no Spine Crawler, no Baneling Landmine, nothing of that nature? It's just going to be a straight up battle, and this could be potentially huge. Drones now trying to engage or walk back. They could be engaging here in just a second, and oh, the drones returning back to some long distance mining. 1-1 upgrades now to be 2-1 upgrades against the 2-2 upgrades of AK. And this has turned into a bit of a stalemate now. Both sides do not want to engage. They both feel that if they engage, they will end up losing. But who is going to be forced to engage first? AK, having a lot of Banelings, wants to set up another Baneling landmine. And if he's able to take the victory here, that would at least put another team up on the board from YoeIM or YoeIM. That is not one of the... that is not YoeIM. Alright, give me one moment. Alright, coming back here. We see the attack now coming in. what Protoss is trying to push up that ramp, unable to do so, but he does have another trap here. AK ready to just try and melt this entire army. The problem is that there is not that many light units. The banelings will not be doing that much damage. On top of that, the banelings, the attack is only, I believe, currently sitting at 1-1. Zerglings and banelings now ready to go. What's going to be happening here? It looks like we are going to see a little bit of an engagement. The Archons now making their way in. And how much damage is going to be dealt? Are we going to see a baneling? Yes, baneling is splashing their way up here. Zealots now suffering a lot of damage as the Archons now trying to do a little bit of an engagement there. Zealots quickly getting taken down there in a little bit of a splash engagement as the Hydra's now trying to follow it up. Looks like they will be able to catch up there. Nicely done once more as drones now being transferred over here to the third base. It is going to be 3 bases to 3. Zerglings now doing a bit of a run by into the natural expansion, but a Zealot and some probes will be able to fight that all off. No, they will not, as there is now Zerglings here. So nicely done by Hui. Hui realizing that there is an engagement, or as those Zerglings did not fall, as now we see that the Stalkers are still trying to engage once again. The 3 o'clock position has been taken down. Drones now trying to make their way up. Hydralisk, is it going to be enough here? The Hydralisk should be able to try and take down much of this army. The Stalkers are not that effective. However, Zealots, if they're able to get to the front, will be very effective alongside those Archons. Coming across, you can see that Hui does have a lot of gateways ready to go, ready to reinforce here in just a moment. Banelings are off here. No, Banelings are not there any longer as some Stalkers get caught going in the wrong direction. 166 versus 188. AK does have a slight army advantage, but that army advantage is not going to... 133 versus 138. So there was a slight advantage there. Maximum supply 140 or 166 versus 148, 188. Hui 140 versus 133. Archons. High Templar Psystorm is not currently ready, as you still see about another minute to go. Drones now trying to make their way over here. AK trying to harvest more minerals. However, he is a bit behind. He is sitting on a smaller number of units and a smaller base here, as we could see a little bit of a flank here. Banelings not trying to come in. Banelings, however, getting caught up on their own Hydralisk as we see the engagement there. Stalkers blinking backwards. Archon now in an awful strange position, as you can see that the Stalkers are getting reinforced. Banelings now coming in from the back as well. A little bit of splash damage there. Hydralisk not very grouped together at all. Hui trying to reinforce, as you can see that the Hydralisk now being forced to try and run back home, but the Stalkers are there, and the Stalkers will just blink up the ramp and catch up to those units. Alright, it is still 3 bases to 2 in favor of Hui. AK has never been able to establish a strong foothold, and I believe that to be the case because AK didn't set up his hatchery at about the 4-minute mark. High Templars are in position. Perhaps Psystorm is ready to go. There is the GG as YoeIMHui takes game 1 in this 2-game set. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.